Hi, friends. Welcome back to the Life with Loverly podcast. Today, I'm sitting down with fellow content creator and brand owner, Erin Schrader from Living in Yellow. With now over 300,000 followers on Instagram, her own clothing line, plus a storefront, Erin has paved her own path to success. Tune in to hear us chat about her journey into blogging, why she stayed at her 9 to 5 even after hitting 7 figures in her business, the super savvy business advice on how she grew her team, and her insights on the social landscape change over the last 14 years. This conversation was a fun one. I think you'll learn a lot about the business side of things if you desire to build your own brand too. Here's my conversation with Erin Schrader. Hi, friends. Welcome back to today's episode. I have Erin from Living in Yellow with me today. Hello, Erin. How are you?
Hi, Brittany. So good. I'm excited to do this. I
I
have not
know.
been, I think I've been on one other podcast in my life.
Yeah.
So not gonna they kind of terrify me a little bit. So like my heart's over here racing, but
You'll be
no, I'm
great.
really excited. So thanks for having
Okay. Well, I was thinking back before while I was prepping for this, and I feel like the last time I saw you was when we were in Seattle for the Gibson Look
me. Yeah.
brand trip, like 1 week before the world shut down for COVID.
Yeah, that's right.
That was because remember the like first outbreak in that nursing home was in Seattle, like while we were there.
Right.
And
Yeah,
I was
I know.
like,
How crazy. Yeah,
yeah,
that is when I met you for the first time.
yeah.
Look,
It
yeah,
was
yes.
such a fun I feel like there are so many things from that trip that I remember and just like conversation with other influencers and creators on just how to like have a business in this space. I remember you and I think it was Anna,
Oh,
y'all were taking
yes.
this like class
Yes, we did a
on
mastermind together.
yeah.
Yeah,
I always like think back to things that you guys like mentioned from that class.
yeah.
Did that end up being like beneficial?
It was, yes. I just think anytime you can come together with other
Totally.
influencers, because what we do is so kinda like it still feels new. I don't know if you feel
Yeah,
like that, but I feel like this industry still feels very new
totally.
and can be isolating at times. We're just, like, on our computers in our bedroom shooting photos, and so
Yeah.
anytime there's an opportunity to, yeah, come together with other, like-minded entrepreneurs and learn from one another, I think always is beneficial. So, yeah, I loved doing
Yeah.
that mastermind. I would love to do something like that again because ever
I
since
know.
COVID, I haven't actually invested in any more of those, like, in-person retreats with other influencers or anything. So, yeah, I would love to get back on that, but
I know. It's always, like you said, just so great to pick people's brains, like what's working for you. Last year, I went to an event in Las Vegas with Amazon, and there were a lot of other Amazon creators. And I think I learned more about not even like Amazon related things, just in having conversation with others. And I was like, we got to do this like more.
yes.
Especially with just like the times are just changing, social media is evolving. There's so many platforms you can be on, and it's kind of hard to keep up sometimes.
Right. Yes, totally agree. Yeah, well, I went to an Amazon one. That's funny you said Amazon too, because I went to an Amazon one a summer or two ago, and it was just through other influencers talking about deep linking. And
Yeah.
I hadn't jumped on that train yet. And they were all talking about the success they were seeing. I was like, what is this you're talking about? And it like changed
Yeah.
my business tenfold, like overnight.
Totally.
I felt like so I was like, that is worth every penny of going to these retreats. Even, yeah, I didn't learn a ton about Amazon or from Amazon
Right.
specific, but it was the people that were there. So it is like I would love to spend more time with influencers in the flesh. I'm
Yeah.
in like small town Indiana. I mean, there are
Yeah.
cornfields out my window. There are
Right.
not influencers where I live. So yeah, I would love to like make a point to get out there more with other influencers.
Yeah.
Just talk about like what's working for you, what's not
I
working for
know.
because like you said, it's always changing. And so
Yeah. I think so many people crave that interaction. It's funny, there's a few like newer creators that I started following earlier this year, and I noticed that two of them like met up in person and they were so excited about, meeting. Like I knew this person online and now I've like met up with her and it's just been so like good for the soul to like talk to somebody in person about this journey. And so, for those of you who are listening who are content creators, like encourage you to connect with people to like set up these meetings because it can be so beneficial even if it's just like brainstorming together.
Yes,
um and I feel like
100%.
you have a team, I have a team. So sometimes I feel like I do a lot of like that creativity brainstorming like within my own organization.
Right.
But, that's not everybody's like story right now.
Yeah.
So it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
always
Well, yeah, I'm
encouraging.
sure obviously for you too, like we both just started out ourselves
Yeah,
figuring all this out and Googling all the things and trying all the things.
I know.
So, yeah, and there is a lot of beauty in that too. Like, I don't know if
I
you ever
agree.
feel like you miss those like scrappy days of
Yeah, kind
like
of.
yeah, and there's something beautiful now about having a team and having it all pieced together. But yeah, sometimes there's like parts of it where I'm like, gosh, I kind of just miss like having to like figure this all out, you know? And
Yeah. Almost feels like simpler times.
yes, well, yeah, because
you know?
I'm sure you can relate where so much of your time is now like in meetings and
Uh-huh.
planning, and you're not just like doing the task.
Right. It does change it.
It does. It totally does. But yeah.
Okay, so you are the creator behind the brand and storefront Living in Yellow, which is a women's clothing and lifestyle brand. Let's start from where did your name come from?
Mhm, yeah. So when I started my blog, it was back in 2011,
Mhm.
and I had just started reading other blogs and just thought that this was like so cool that these women were just sharing their daily lives, like very online diary format.
Yeah.
And so I was working full time at a credit union and just thought like, I would like to have a place where I could just document my memories and look back on. I started really with the intention of sharing with nobody. And obviously that changed. But
Yeah.
so when I went, I remember it was like a snow day in Indiana. So work was shut down. And these were back in the days where I was bored, like didn't have kids, like, okay,
Yeah.
didn't have a blog. So I sat in our office at the time, and there was this yellow sweater hanging in the closet, like in my peripheral vision, as I was trying to create this blog. And I was like, oh, yellow. I always gravitate towards wearing that color. In Indiana, we have a lot of gray days. So, like, if I knew, like, I'm going to need a little, like, boost in my step today, maybe I start my period and it's just
Yeah.
like, I need something. And
Like
so I would
help.
just reach for yellow. And so I kind of like sat on that. And obviously, yellow just means like happiness and
Mhm.
sunshine. And so living in yellow really like translation is like living with joy. And
Yeah.
so just kind of like finding the good and the fun and like the little moments. And so that's how I landed on it. It was a yellow sweater in a closet and the rest is history. So
Isn't it so funny how we went through this process of, okay, we need to like name this blog, and like people don't realize that is like a lot of pressure,
oh
you
yeah.
know? Like what if this like becomes something? And I feel like I didn't even really think about it like that. Like what is a cool like a name that just that makes sense.
Right.
Means people ask me where'd Loverly Gray come from, and my dog is a Weimaraner and she's gray, and I always like wanted something to do with like her name, which is Birdie, but at the time I was like, I don't know. And I always gravitated towards the color gray, so a
Oh
little
yeah.
opposite of
Yeah.
you. And so then I'm like, what words go with gray? Like my dog is gray. Like I like the color gray. Love gray. I love gray. Like what are other words for love? And then you just like stumble on something that sticks.
Right.
But I
Yeah.
had like a note in my phone that was like blog names and like a list of just like what are some weird names I could like throw together that would equal a fashion blog.
Yeah. And
I
then
don't
here you
know.
are. So when people
Right.
meet you, do they think your name is Loverly or Brittany?
Yeah. People a lot of times think my name is Loverly.
That's what
And
honestly, I thought your name was Loverly
yeah,
for a long time.
so many people do. Like,
Yeah.
even the other day, I was somewhere and like, I gave my email to somebody at, like, a store, and she was like, "Ooh, what a cool name, Loverly Gray." And I was like, "It's not my name, but it's okay." It's just like, yeah,
Yeah, I know, but yeah, whenever people meet me, they're like, "Living in Yellow?" And
Right,
you started it back in those early days, like, you never think, "Oh, someday somebody's gonna
right.
approach me on the street calling me this name that I'm choosing in this moment." So, I'm kind of glad, though, that I had no foresight to, like,
I know.
this will be a thing, because then I would have put the pressure on. This is just like, "Oh, what do I wanna see every day when I log into blogspot.com?"
Right. Oh
So,
my
yeah,
gosh.
yeah.
Man, and it feels like all of, like, 2011, you were really, like, the height of the OG bloggers, and,
Yeah.
like, I mean, because that's sort of, like, around that Pinterest era where people
Mhm.
like, at the
Yes.
start of Pinterest where, people would, like, put pictures on their blog and link them to Pinterest, and that's how people would get discovered. I mean, you've lived, like, it almost feels like such a social lifetime in
Yeah.
those last I mean, I guess, what is that? Like,
Thir 14
yeah,
years?
14
14
years.
years, which is wild. But yeah,
That's
Pinterest,
crazy.
that honestly is now that you say that. So Stitch Fix, I don't know if you ever had to do
Yeah.
anything with Stitch Fix, but I was like a religious Stitch Fix, subscriber, member, and so I would get my boxes every month, and then I would take the photos of that month's box, post it on my blog, and then pin them, and so much of my following in those early days were people saying, "I found your Stitch Fix boxes on Pinterest, and that's how I got
Yeah.
you." Yeah, and now I kind of, like, even forget that exists. So it's crazy how, like, certain moments, I don't know, like, Stitch Fix led to so much of my
Mhm.
growth, but in hindsight, like, I wasn't even doing that intentionally, it just
Right.
that's how it happened, but yeah.
So, you were working when you first started, and it was just kind of like a
Mhm.
fun outlet. Did you have any idea or, like, I mean, I feel like you blew up on Facebook.
Yeah, so Facebook was so I started in 2011 and I really just like very online diary. Like,
Yeah.
I would write the craziest, like embarrassing stories and I did just want it. I kind of treated it almost a little bit like I had this gratitude journal prior to starting my blog that I would write in every day. And I loved just, like, flipping through that journal and being like, "Oh my gosh, I remember that?" And so I
Yeah.
kinda treated my blog for a while as, like, my gratitude journal of, like, I'm just gonna talk about what happened today, so in 3 years, I can look back and remember this crazy thing. And so, it wasn't until 2015, I remember I went to a conference, I forget which conference, but, like a blogger conference, and I was listening. Do you know A Beautiful Mess? Do you follow A Beautiful
Yes.
Mess? So I think it was them, I think, were on stage and had some of their team members with them, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, like, they're big enough to do this thing and hire people to help them do this?" And she was talking about her income, and I was just like, "Whoa." Like, I have never treated this blog like it could be a career for me. Like, I very much approached it like, this is a fun side gig, and if I make $200 a month, that's awesome?
Right.
And so after I left that, session, and I was with somebody I know, and I was like, "I'm gonna make 6 figures from blogging this year." And I was just like, "I don't know how I'm gonna do that, but I'm gonna do this and, like, treat it like a big girl job or something."
Yeah.
So that was in 2015, and so I was like, "Well, how am I gonna do this if I'm saying I'm gonna do this?"
Right.
When I kinda started, learning more about affiliate marketing,
Mhm.
and it was like, "Okay, I'll give this a try." Because I noticed people had already kind of been asking in blog posts like, "Oh, where'd you get that shirt? What jeans are you wearing? Where are those pillows from?"
Right.
And so at the time, I think LTK was just starting or it was out, but that was
Yeah.
Instagram based.
Mhm.
For me at that time as a consumer, I was like, "Gosh, that, like, feels really annoying to have to, like, do like something and then get an email and then go to my email. I was like, I
Yep.
don't like I value efficiency in my life.
Right.
So
You're like, I just
I'm
need
like,
it now.
where is the quickest way for me to get these links somewhere that they can just click? And so Facebook at the time was that platform. So in 2015, I was like, I am just gonna pour the heck out of myself into Facebook. I'm gonna post
Yeah.
consistently. I got really like skilled at Facebook ads and boosting
Yeah.
posts. And so I just like poured myself into that and grew that Facebook following. And that first year by 100,000.
Yeah.
And so I had just this community all of a sudden that was coming to my Facebook page to see what outfits I was wearing, what sales were happening. And it just like grew pretty rapidly, word of mouth then. Friends were telling their friends. And so Facebook was, yeah, like the platform for
Right.
us. And it has served us really well, honestly, over the last almost 10 years now.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's kind of an untraditional route of a lot of influencers because obviously so many are Instagram heavy or even TikTok now.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, we are definitely like learning the importance of getting
Right.
on Instagram and like, okay, video's not going
I
anywhere.
know.
We better freaking learn video, like I've resisted it for so long.
So did I. I was like, reels are so dumb. Like,
Oh
I
my
am
gosh,
not doing
yes.
that.
Yeah, and for somebody who values efficiency, I'm like, I am not spending my time doing this,
Yeah.
but
And now it's kind of going back to still images. And I'm like, oh, but it's so much better to just do a video and tell people, like, talk through
yes.
it or
Oh,
whatever.
yeah, yeah, I
Ugh.
know. So, I mean that yeah, the world of social media and all the swings, but, um, yeah, so anyhow, I don't even really remember what your
Yeah.
question was, but Facebook has been, a really awesome platform for us where that's where we've grown the majority of our audience, and we still show up and serve her every day there
Right.
all day, every day. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, because I mean, I remember back when I was first starting, I started at the end of 2015. So I was just kind of say 2016. Um, and there really weren't a ton of people sharing like affordability, sale alerts. And I know that's something like you were doing. And it, to me, I'm like, that just like resonated with so many people when I started to do that. And now it kind of seems like that's the way of, you know, everybody's like, oh, yeah, now this is on sale or get this here.
Mhm.
I mean, because like obviously sales sell,
Right.
but that wasn't the case back then, because it was
Mhm.
still a lot of like pretty pictures and like,
Oh,
look what
yeah.
I'm wearing and
Right.
kind of, you know, and I think there must be something to that because you were kind of like a leader in the
Mm.
industry, you know,
Yeah.
doing that.
Well, and I think there's such a like there I think it could go on all spectrum. Like there's um what am I trying to say here? Basically where I have wanted to live is yeah, we share the sales. We share pieces that are on sale, but I've always wanted to infuse my life into
Yeah.
living in yellow as well, where I know there is a place and a space for like strictly like sale platform,
Right.
but what has driven me and what I love the most about what I do is that connection with our community. And
Yeah.
so that has always been at the forefront of that is like I want to feel like they know me and
Totally.
what's going on in my life. And then but yeah, weaving in the affordability and
Yeah.
um yeah, has been a big component to it. So, yeah, I think it's just been a good balance, I guess, of figuring that out over the years of sharing what I'm wearing and then also talking about, what my newborn is eating and
Yeah.
like as
Well, and
so
I mean, I think like the beauty of it too is like creating a platform and a place to where like you come and show up for your community. And then you are also like, people are wanting to know where your shirt's from,
yeah,
So like you
right.
show up with the day being like, here's the things I want to talk to you about that is happening in my life. And oh yeah, okay, like let me give you the link to this.
Yeah.
Like it's such like an authentic way to show up for your community. And honestly, if you're a creator or wanting to be a creator listening, like that's a great tactic, is just, you know, share yourself,
Right.
share who you are. And people, as they start to follow along, will naturally just be like, well, what is that? What is that? Tell me more. Because
Yeah.
people want to know all the things.
Right. But yeah, I think it's just so true. We're living in a time period where people want to buy from people, you know?
Totally.
And so that's what I mean, influencers, we're in just this like great time period of where, yeah, people would rather they trust people versus like, big brands or retailers.
Yeah.
And like we get to be this voice for the, yeah, in between the brand. And I don't know, it's a really cool, opportunity that we're
Yeah.
given that, our audience trusts us and then brands trust us also to
Totally.
represent them, and yeah, such a cool job. It's such a
Yeah.
cool
It really
job.
is.
Yeah.
Okay, so when in this journey did you decide it was time to start growing your team, and how did you know it was the right time?
Yeah. So, like I mentioned, so 4 years into blogging is when it was like, okay. So I had set that goal in 20,
Yeah.
I'm going to make 6 figures. I bought a pair of shoes at Nordstrom and my husband was like, "What in the world are you doing? Those are $100. Like, why are you spending $100 on shoes?" I'm like, "Honey, just trust me." And so I wore the heck out of those shoes and would post links to them and soon enough they paid for themselves. I was like, "Okay, I think we're on to something, like, this affiliate marketing can be profitable." And so that next full year, I hit 7 figures, not 6, and so I was like, "Okay." But I was working full
Okay.
time. I was working full time at the
Right.
credit union. Meanwhile, making, like, more money than I had ever dreamed of, right? Like, and so I was like, "I probably should hire somebody," but I wasn't ready to quit my job. So I
Yeah.
loved what I did. I loved leaving the house every day, having people around me, being social. I was like, "I don't think that I can just, like, sit at home and do, like, this
Blogging. Yeah.
all by myself. I'll be so bored." And so I was like, I'm gonna it's so funny looking back. I'm gonna keep working full time and I'm gonna hire somebody full time to work on LIY. And so I stayed at the credit union for a while, had an employee.
Oh my
So it's
gosh.
like in my lunch hour, I'd be able to like get on the phone with my
Check in.
employee and be like, "Hey, could we work on could you do a newsletter today or something?" Like, and so finally I was like, "Okay, Erin, this thing keeps growing. I need to like choose here. Like either
Right.
I want to do this full time or I'm calling it quits." And I knew I didn't want to call it quits. So in
Right.
2017 is when I left the credit union. And then so that year of 2017, I had already hired one person. And then I think in that same year, I ended up hiring 3 more people. So by the end of 2017, I think there was a team of 4 of us. But I was just like, I would just write lists of every single thing I was doing, and then I'd circle the items that I felt like I loved and needed to do, and then underline the items where I was like, okay, somebody else can do this. It doesn't need to
Yeah.
be me. And so I just kept creating positions like based off of these lists that I would make. And
Yeah.
now there's a team of 10 of us on the LIY side and 5 on our shop side. So I think you are similar. Do you have like
Yeah.
15-ish?
We have 15 right now,
Yeah.
and it's wild. I like kind of never thought it would it would be where it is, but, I'm sure you might feel similar. Sometimes I'm like, I could create, like, more jobs. Like, I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
"We could hire somebody else to do XYZ, or let's get
Right.
another person in."
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and I think we're probably both wired in this like, we're idea generators and we
yeah.
have visions, and so, yeah, to be able to know, like, "Oh gosh, like, here's an idea. If we would just hire somebody, we could
Yeah.
execute this." And so
Right.
yeah, so I think it's a mix for me of hiring was a mix of, like, here's current needs, but also here's, like, wishes. And
Right.
so, some of those wishes and dreams bred more employees and
Mhm.
yeah. So, I mean, hiring was scary at the start, but
Yeah.
gosh, once you start doing it and you start delegating and you see how much more is possible, that has been so instrumental in
Totally.
growing living in yellow. So, yeah.
I tell people all the time, I'm just like, as soon as you feel like you need to hire somebody, like, you go ahead and start the
Mhm.
process. Like,
Right.
there's never gonna be the right time, that's it and it is like, hiring your first employee can be kind of, like, daunting and hard because it's like,
Mhm.
you almost get in your head and you're like, "Well, I can just keep doing this myself." Like, I don't delegating can be hard, especially if you're, like, goal driven and you're like, "I just wanna hit the next milestone," or, like, "I'm already in this rhythm." But taking a step back and just being like, "Okay, but what if I got somebody in here and we could, like, double everything or triple everything?"
Right.
Like, that would be smarter.
Yeah.
What do you like, how? Because obviously you didn't start this with, like, with these intentions. Did you ever, like, how's the leadership been? That was something I feel like I had to kinda, like, learn to be a boss, of people, a manager of people, and that was, like, there's definitely been some, like, struggles along the way of, "Am I doing this right? I don't know how to do this."
Oh yeah, definitely. That it is so interesting because we all of us influencers, like we start just with this like it's us. It's this one person
Yeah.
show and then um obviously like as it grows, it's such a blessing. But yeah, then we're put in these positions all of a sudden of like, holy cow, like I am now responsible for 10 people and their job satisfaction and
Yeah.
oh crap, I have to work on my communication skills and
Yep.
so it's been a learning process, which I'm sure you probably feel like that. Especially in the early days. Like I was just one of those like people pleasers and never want
Yeah.
to like ruffle the feathers and like, yeah, I'll just
Yeah, like, we just don't have to talk about it.
and not that I'm now, like yelling at people and stuff, but I have learned the importance of a friend told me a while ago to be clear is to be kind. And I kind of like lived in this like, oh, I don't want to be too direct, but I've learned how much employees really value just that
Yeah.
direct communication. And so I think I've grown a lot in my comfort levels of leadership and delegating and empowering our staff and yeah, but I would say it's the hardest part of what I do for
Yeah.
sure is
I
and I have
totally agree.
amazing, amazing team members, but it's still
Yeah.
just like, yeah, that's the hardest part of what I do.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
get that. Okay, obviously you are a goal setter,
Mhm.
setting your goal of like, I'm gonna get six figures, and you're like,
Yeah,
nope, better make it seven.
yeah.
Um, do you have any process that you go through when you set goals? Do you like to set like really long term goals or short term, or is there anything like special or unique you do
Mm.
in that process?
Yeah, so, that's a good question. I mean, on the business level, we have a strategy team, there's 4 of us on that strategy team. So, like, as we go into the next year, we'll spend a lot of time in our little meetings. We'll have input from the entire team of, like, what went well last year, what didn't go well, what's something you would like to see us accomplish, and so we take all that feedback, and then we kinda, like, put a plan in place and then we have an annual vision day where we have the team, we present like, here is the direction of the next year. And then we meet, well, I mean, we meet weekly, but once a month we have what we call our monthly reflection meeting where we
Hmm.
review like, here are all the goals that we talked about doing at the beginning of the year. Where are we at with them? So we're constantly checking in because we all know, like, we can set these goals, but if you forget about if you're not checking
Yeah.
in on them, like, you're done for. So that is one way on a personal level. So we also, create and sell our own planners, and in our planners every month, it has where you can write down 3 goals for the month. Um, and so I just write my goals
Yeah.
and then, like, one thing that I'm gonna do to accomplish that goal that month. So, yeah, I do love goal setting, but I
Yeah.
will say I had a child, in the last year, and I feel like some of my goals, I'm
Yes.
like, um Yeah, like, he has definitely taken precedence. I'm like, "What
Right.
goals am I setting anymore? I don't know. Just
Yeah.
survive the day,
You're like, "See, surviving."
just sleep,"
Exactly.
and yeah, no, but yeah.
Okay, how has that been? Because you guys were on, like, a journey to
Yeah, we
have your
waited a
son.
long time. So, Sean
Yeah.
and I got married when I was 20. I'm now
Okay.
about to be 39, and we just had a
Okay.
child. So, we waited 18 years to have our first kid, which, um, is kinda wild, but it also allowed, like I say, like, Living in Yellow is really kind of my first child,
Yeah.
and I poured
Totally.
into that for a lot of years, but yeah, so we, finally made the decision that, "Okay, we're gonna do this," and then it took us a while, to have little crew, but he's here,
Yeah.
great, but it's definitely been eye-opening, or I don't know, just to, like, pre-crew, I could pour so much of myself into Living in
Yes.
Yellow, and I've just had to come to terms with, like, that isn't me in my stage of life
Right.
right now, and that's okay. So, he has been incredible, but yeah, my weekends aren't just spent on the computer posting on Facebook
Yeah.
while I'm crawling around on the floor with a little, toddler.
It
So
definitely, like, changes your perspective too, and
yeah.
almost I feel like having, because 'cause I've got 2 girls, 6 and 4, and even when they were, like, younger, I there were so many times where I felt like I almost had to choose between, like, do I do this for the business or do I, like,
Mhm.
do the present mom thing?
Yeah.
And obviously, I always want my children to be, like, my first choice, but there's some times where I'm like, "Oh, this deadline,"
Mhm.
or, like,
Right.
they're okay, and
Yeah.
it's, like, pulls on you so, like, emotionally because, you have work, but you also have kids.
Right.
It can be a
Well,
tough balance.
yeah, and I think it can be so hard. Like, I think for a period of time, I was in this, like I don't know if this is society or me projecting this, but almost like in this place of like, okay, I feel like I have to I think I was trying to convince myself that I should be a stay-at-home mom, and, like, I
Mhm.
should be happy with that, and, like, why am I not choosing that, you know?
Yeah.
But I just had to, like, come to terms with, like, no, like, I mean, I want to be an excellent mother, but I really love having this career, and I want to do
Yeah.
this. And so for me, it's just, like, been about establishing very clear boundaries, and so for me, that looks like I work from 9 to 4, and once 4 o'clock hits, I am on, baby duty.
Yeah, it's just wild too because I feel like there's just, like, help needed in certain areas, like, I felt like I had to, like, rely more on my employees to do things, or it almost, like, forced me to delegate knowing, like, okay, I have to be present at home, but there's things going on with the business, and in our world, like, social media is 24/7, and, like, you can schedule things and you can, but, like, if something happens, like, who's gonna fall back to be the point of contact for checking that or making sure the link is correct or whatnot. So I feel like there's just a lot of, like, shifts that have to be made and, like, that kinda has to get ironed out over time.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think it has been, a great thing in reassessing priorities for myself in the business and like kind of going back to the drawing board of like, okay,
Yeah,
what are the things that I really need and want to do? And what are the things that don't need to be on my plate now that I do have bigger priorities? So, yeah, I think
totally.
having a child has been an amazing thing. And
Yeah.
yeah, has really only, I feel like, helped me in my business. So,
Totally,
yeah.
totally. So with I've noticed that on your page, like a lot on Facebook, you have some of your other team members
Mhm.
showing things as well. Like, how has that been? Does your audience enjoy seeing, maybe it's multiple different body types, age ranges? Has that been something that you found has been really successful?
Yeah, so that was a decision that I made. Oh gosh, it's been several years of where
Yeah.
I wanted the team to have a little more presence on our
Mhm.
platform. It's so interesting because I don't know if you ever think about like what is your long term plan here? And it's like something
Yeah.
kind of odd, like, what is the exit route for influencers, you know?
Right. I know. Is it just like, "Okay, bye, like,
I
have a nice?"
know.
Because there have been some that have just been like, "Hey, like, I can't do this anymore," and they, like, just cut off and go,
Yeah,
and that's wild,
right.
but, like, I don't that's not I mean, I don't think that's possible
Yeah,
for us.
I know. Yeah, 'cause I mean, we've built these brands, right? And
Yeah.
these communities.
So much more than just, like, a Facebook post or an Instagram reel, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, and so I think years ago, it was kind of not that I have any exit plan, but it was kind of this like, okay, like in 20 years from now, like,
Yeah.
do I want the business to still look like just me or do I want this to be, I don't know, something bigger? And so yeah, we decided to bring on the team. So they all get this like personal budget that they can shop and find things that they truly love. But it has been awesome for our audience to see
Yeah.
multiple sizes and body types and hair colors and yeah, so our audience has embraced it really well. And like just one of our team members right now is on vacation at the Atlantis for spring break. And she's like, "Oh my gosh, I just had," we call our community, Jennifer is our, like, alias. So sh
Yep.
Jennifer just came up to me and said she recognizes me from LAY, and so, yeah, I feel like our audience has just been so supportive of the collective team,
Yeah.
and I think people are just so curious about, like, "Wait, you have a team, like, how what do they do? How does
Right.
this work? Like, how do they fit into this, like, puzzle?" Uh
Totally.
so yeah, I think people are just curious and yeah, it's been super helpful to our audience just to have more body types and styles.
Yeah.
We have different age ranges. And so yeah, it's been a really good thing.
I love that.
Yeah.
I feel like also, there's not a ton of influencers or content creators who like talk about their teams in the way that you do or the way that I do. I mean, and so sometimes it's kind of like you look at all these people and you're like, how are they doing that? And now at this point, I just assume people have like a team helping behind the scenes just because I know I do.
Right. Yeah.
But it's always, I mean, I can't do it all by myself,
Right.
and I would never want anybody to be discouraged that they couldn't get into this because it looks like I do it all,
Yeah.
because that's not
Right.
the case. But
Yeah.
I think it's always fun to just see like a behind the scenes of like people's teams and like, ooh, what is the dynamic? Like, what do they do? What do they call themselves? It's
Right.
always just really fun
I know,
to
I love
know.
it. I really we our whole team has loved following Your Life with Loverly Instagram
Yeah.
account because we're like, "Oh, look at their office. Ooh, what do these people do?" You know? I was telling some of the girls today, I was like, "It would be such a goal of mine if, like" I'm putting you on the spot, but I'm like, "If sometime we could go visit, like,
Oh
your
my gosh.
office and your
Yes.
and just, like, learn, like, how do you guys run things? What are your people doing?"
Let's
And
do it.
vice versa, and, like, just, like yeah, because it is, like, a newer industry where, like, I'm just so curious, like, we have
I
our
know.
processes and systems and, like, ways of doing things, but I'm like, "How do all these other influencers run it with their teams?" So,
I know. Well,
yeah.
and it's so fascinating too, because like we built out this office space where everybody sits, but we're even like, okay, maybe like we should have done it differently, or maybe we should have done not so open air. Like people
Oh,
really do kind
right.
of need like a smaller, I mean,
Yeah,
like things we didn't know.
right.
And now we're like, how do we like rework what the space
Mhm.
that we do
Yeah,
have?
yeah. Well, your
Um,
office looks beautiful.
well, thank you.
I
And you
love
got
it.
like I
Yeah.
let's talk offline about this idea because I
Yes.
think that could be really fun and I know my girls would love that too.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, so the storefront,
Mm,
that is
mhm.
new within the last few years, right?
Yeah, we opened that 2 years ago this May.
Okay,
So,
so if somebody is coming, what are they seeing at the storefront? How is it different from like what you show on, on socials
mm,
and on your other platforms?
yeah. So like I mentioned earlier, I live in a small town, like Amishville, Indiana.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
and so my sister, she has a really cute store that she has had operating for several years in our little downtown area. And so for a while, she's like, "Oh, you need to open a store here and it'd bring more people in." And I was always like, I don't know. It seems like just another thing.
Yeah.
And so a space came available for rent, and we were like, okay, maybe we should do this. I'm such an experience, like tangible in-person person.
Yeah.
And so I was like, how cool would it be to actually create a physical space where we could invite our local community and our online community in, and just like, how can we create just like a super fun shopping experience?
Yeah.
So yeah, like our storefront is so cute. We got like the yellow striped awning. You walk in, we have like, I don't know, right now we have surfboards in there, music playing. We offer everybody like really fun drinks. Our staff is awesome. And then it's just filled with clothes that we're buying, obviously wholesale,
Yeah.
and that we love. And so I get to have a hand in the buying. And so that's been really fun. But yeah, we have people come
That's
in from
fun.
all over the country just to like, it's so cool that they're experiencing this tiny little town,
Yeah.
but having a great time. And so, yeah, we're just kind of like, I feel like my sister and I are like little, like Joanna Gaines, like trying to
Yeah.
put like Waco on the map.
Let's build up the
Like, how do
town.
we put Middlebury, Indiana on the map? And so we're like, make Middlebury great. So yeah,
I love it.
so it's been really fun to, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we do, so we have the physical storefront, but then we have shoplivinginyellow.com where anybody can shop online at any time and buy what we're selling as well. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
I'm going to add that link to our show notes. So for our
Yeah.
listeners, they can pop over and check it out. Um, that's so fun.
Yeah. So I would love to like, that's like a dream. Like I would love to create more in person
Yeah.
of spaces, which you have. Don't you have one?
We do.
Photo?
We have a photo studio that we rent out. A lot of like local photographers use it for like branding sessions, mommy and me photos. We kind of like rotate what's in there. And that really just started because I needed a photo space. Like I was like,
Oh,
where I
yeah.
just need like a clean place to like make some reels or take outfit photos. And so we had this extra space when we were doing our build out. And I was like, what if we made a photo studio that we could rent to other people when we weren't using it? Because I wasn't going to be using it
Right. Yeah.
24/7. And now we don't even use it really for ourself anymore. It gets rented all the time,
That's
which is
awesome.
great because it's like really pretty, just like airy space, and people have parties in there. Like there's all sorts of stuff that they can do.
Yeah.
But I like want to open a second location. I'm like looking and have been for a little while. I'm like, we could keep this going,
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, I feel like there's always just like ideas. I'm
Yes.
like, should we do a Loverly Gray coffee shop? Should we do a
Yes,
Loverly
you
Gray
should.
storefront? I'm like, what else do we need?
Well,
My
you just
husband's like, calm down.
you have such a fun brand and such a loyal following. It's so
Yeah.
fun to follow you. Just like
Oh,
I'm
thank
such a
you.
fan of you personally. But I just feel like everything that you do is like beautiful and just invites people in. And so yeah, I'm like, create
Well,
more of
thank
that.
you.
Yeah,
I
people
know.
go into your spaces. So
It
your new
is. It is
home. Oh
just,
my gosh, your new home is
oh my goodness.
gorgeous.
I am obsessed, and I am so glad that I'm there, like where so I built a um office space off of my closet, so like all the clothes could just be like that was always my complaint. Like I just want the clothes to be like in one place but
Mhm.
accessible when I'm doing a try on in a pretty spot. And now I work from home like 4 days a week, and I love it because 'cause I'm like, I love my house so much, I don't wanna leave, and so now I'm just so thankful I can do my job from home and just enjoy all the aspects of it.
Yeah. I mean,
Just
that
it's very
breakfast nook
lucky.
though, that
I know,
breakfast
that's my
room,
favorite.
yeah,
I
when
think
you
that's
see
my
your,
favorite
like,
spot.
reels in front of there, I'm like, "Oh,
No.
wow."
I know, and it's just like I just feel like it's such a pretty, like, aesthetic. It just, like,
Mhm.
feels when I'm in there, I just feel like it's like a hug. Like,
Yeah,
if your
oh,
home could, like, hug you, like, that's the space I feel like it would be, which
yeah.
is so
Well, it
silly to
looks like
say.
that through the screen, so, yeah, it's awesome.
So, does your husband work with you guys too?
Yeah, so
He's part of the brand.
he left his job in 2020. It was so funny because we were like,
Okay.
man, if you would leave your job, we could travel so much. And then
I said that to Chris too.
when did he
Literally.
does he work for with the brand?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he left in January of 2020.
Okay, Sean, same
Yeah.
exact. Yeah.
I think
Oh,
that Seattle trip was Chris's, like, first brand trip, like,
oh,
with me,
yes, he was there.
and, and then, the world shut down, and he was like, "Huh, this isn't exactly what we were hoping for," you know?
Right?
Um, I
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
How has that dynamic been of you guys, like, the 2 of y'all working together?
It's overall has been good. We do very different tasks in the business.
Yeah,
So, like,
agree.
Sean, he is very, behind the scenes, like, taxes. He does, like, I don't know, like,
All the
the
operations.
yes, operations, all the like, maintenance on the properties. It's just all the things
Yeah.
that, like, they need to happen, but, like, I am not gonna take the time,
That
I don't know
literally.
what's going on there. He's just such
He and Chris would get along great.
oh, yeah. Yes, I'm sure. So, yeah, he's very like, "I don't need to be on camera. I don't wanna be on camera. You do your thing. I'll do mine."
Yep.
So overall, it's worked out really well. I think it's now just, like, balancing this, like, man, we're like I mean, we try to be in different spaces during the day, but we're also just, like, around each other a lot,
Right.
you know? And
Yeah.
so and now obviously we have a child and then we have a nanny in the home. It's just like,
Yep.
okay, there's, like, people in my space all the time, and so just, like,
I
trying
know.
to, like we're learning how to give each other space more,
Yeah.
I guess, has been
And it's so
hard.
interesting. Like, I feel like we have to go through those type of, like, it's just growth.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
sometimes growth, there's like tension or just it feels
Mhm.
like, how do we work through this?
Right.
It's just, life stages of where you guys are right now
Right.
too, with the little one at home.
Yeah, but yeah, it's been amazing to have Sean work, with
Yeah.
the Living in Yellow brand, and it does offer us so much flexibility and
Yeah.
freedom to just go,
So
wherever
nice.
we wanna go, and yeah, so it's been awesome, so yeah.
Okay, I have a
Uh,
few like little rapid fire questions for you
yeah,
that are just kind of
let's go.
fun. Okay, what is your favorite summer cocktail?
Hmm. Last summer, I really got into Aperol spritzes,
Okay.
and I'm gonna carry that with me to this summer. I
Okay, I
say
love it.
yeah, yeah.
What is your go-to summer outfit?
Mm. Okay, I am, like, big I always say, like, one and done dressing, like, give me a comfy romper, or, like, I think, like, Zella has these, like last year, they had some really great just, like, one-piece rompers, kind of a athletic material, just, like,
Yes.
comfy, but still looks cute, so, yeah, I'm
Right.
gonna say that.
I love a one and done
Yes.
cute look.
Yep.
Okay, any favorite bathing suits for summer?
Mm. Gosh, postpartum bathing
I
suits are
know.
so fun. Gosh, yeah, I just bought one from Albion Fit. Is that
Oh,
the
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think
Theirs are kinda like
that
higher rise. They've got, like, really fun prints, I think.
yes, yeah, it's, like, a little more modest, which for
Yeah.
right now, the stage of life I'm in, I'm like, "Okay, I'm fine with embracing that a little bit." Um, so
Okay, a brand that you should look into, Hermosa. I don't know if you've
oh, okay, I've
ever
heard of it, but I haven't tried it.
okay, so their whole thing is, like, livable, like, mom
Oh,
suits, and, like, the
okay.
coverage is really good. Um, I'm gonna give myself a little plug here. I actually have a collection with them coming out in a
Ooh.
few weeks.
Okay, this is
So,
exciting.
I will send you one because they're just like, the material is so good. It's not, like, super cheeky, like,
Yes.
good pieces.
Okay. Yeah, I would love
But check out their other one pieces too because they just dropped some, in March that are, like, really cute and super comfortable,
okay. Yeah,
and
I'll
they're good,
definitely
like,
check it out.
mom
Well,
suits.
that is so exciting for your
Yeah,
collab.
I'm
Yay.
very, very excited for that, so
Yeah, okay.
I'll let you know when that
Okay.
is getting a little closer.
Mm.
Okay, what about do you have a tinted moisturizer that you love?
Mm. I use Tarte. I think it's called
Mhm.
Skin Treat. It's their tinted moisture.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It feels like a cloud. Like when I don't know how to
Oh,
explain it, but it just feels amazing. So
okay.
I think it's called
I
Skin
need to try
Treat.
that one.
Oh yeah, definitely try it. It's a
Okay.
good one.
What about your favorite summer activity?
Being so in the summer, we live on the water and being on the
Okay.
boat, so we
Yeah.
love to just, like, be out on the boat. Yeah, hanging out with
I
friends.
love the
Yeah.
lake, the boat, like, there's just
Oh, yeah.
something, like, that just feels like summer is here when you're on a
Oh,
boat,
yeah.
you know?
Yes. So, yeah, floating on a
What about your favorite, um, mom item or, like, favorite item for crew?
oh gosh, that's such a good question. I feel like he's changing, like, every week right now is a new thing.
I know.
I mean, honestly, the Duna stroller has been a game changer because we travel quite a bit. So we take that thing on the airplane with us. So to stroll it through the airport and then just bloop, plop it down into his own
Yeah.
seat, put him on the airplane. That
It's
has
so
been
convenient.
amazing. So I'm gonna say the Duna.
Whoever came up with that, I'm like,
I know.
everybody I see around with, like, a newborn has a Doona, and it's
Mhm.
so we had one for so my oldest, the Doona was, like, kinda made a little bit after she was born, and so I did have it like, a little while into her when she was a baby because we traveled with her some too,
Mhm.
and then my second was born during COVID, so we really weren't going
Oh,
anywhere,
yeah,
so, like, we didn't use it as much, but now I have my best friend just had a baby last year, and that's all they use, and I'm like, "This is so convenient."
it is.
It's just
It
like a
is.
one and done stroller situation.
Right. Yeah, I know, I feel like all the, like, moms who had babies 30 years ago, they're
Yeah.
all like, "I wish I had that
I
thing when I
know.
had babies." I'm like, "Yeah, it's nice." So,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's so funny.
yeah.
Um, okay, and then I have one last question, and I
Mhm.
wrap up all of my, podcast interviews with this question. It is, r what is one, like, random act of kindness that somebody extended to you that has had a lasting impact on your life?
Ah, that is a very good question.
It's kinda deep. We
I
go deep to
it
end.
is. I'm like, now that is a good one. No, that's a great question, though. Honestly, I feel like I mean, there's a lot of things I could say here, but sticking it kind of in this business sense, since a lot of our conversation was
Mhm.
business focused. Um, when I started my blog, I was going to keep it a secret. I think I just didn't have the confidence that like anybody would be interested in it. And I remember going to my sister's house and I was like, "So I started this blog. Would you like, do you want to read a couple of these posts?" And she read it and she's like, "Oh my gosh, like you're such a good writer." And do you know Pioneer Woman? Do you know who
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So she's like, "I feel like you could be the next Pioneer Woman." And she said that. And I was like, "Seriously? Like, you think that this is like good?" And it was just her speaking words of confidence into me.
yeah,
Like, that's all I needed to then like want to share this with the world. And
yeah,
obviously, it's had I mean, it's been such a blessing and it's had such a positive impact on my life. But it took just somebody speaking something in her mind. She probably doesn't even remember saying this, but I think it just goes to show, like, how our words affect people so much,
totally.
and when you see somebody that you see that skill or that talent in them, just to speak that life into them, you do not know what they could do with that, and so,
Yeah,
I'm forever so grateful that my sister just, like, spoke those words to me, because without those, I don't think I'd be sitting here right now, so,
yeah.
thank you to my
That's
sister. Yes.
I that's beautiful. I think too it's like you said, such a great lesson and reminder to give encouragement,
Mhm.
offer up that y
Yeah,
words of wisdom, you never know how that could change somebody's
right.
life like it did yours.
Yeah, exactly, so
I love
yes.
that. Well, Erin, this has been so great. I have truly loved talking to you. I know my listeners are going to love hearing your story and some of your background as an entrepreneur and business owner. Will you tell everybody where they can find you on socials and your website?
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. It was so
Of
fun. I'm
course.
glad that I said yes to it.
I
So,
know.
yeah, you can find us at livinginyellow.com and then on socials, Living in Yellow, and then our shop is shoplivinginyellow.com.
Perfect. I will leave that for you guys in the show notes, and we will talk to you soon. Until next time.
All right, thanks.